Hello. Hello. How are you guys? Now, I'm only streaming on YouTube, but I do have other streams that I do. But for Seduce Me, I'm streaming for this stream only on YouTube. And just to give you guys a lovely little update, on something, my cat accidentally scratched me in a very vulnerable spot, which is basically right above my eyebrow. She scratched me right on my eyebrow, which hurt, but she did it on accident because she was basically jumping over me to get to the window, and she didn't jump high enough. So yeah, that's what's going on for me anyway. So that's what happened. But she doesn't do things like, bite. She does bite, but that's more or less she wants my attention and saying, "Hello, pay attention to me. Stop paying attention to them and pay some attention to me." But yeah. Anyway, guys, we are gonna go right back into Seduce Me. I've been wanting to play this again for you guys, but I had to wait a couple of minutes before I can jump right back in. Well, thank you very much, Dinka Sisters, for following me on Twitch. Very much appreciated. What are the background? No. What? So, hello to all of you. So, I basically, since I was trying to fix things on Discord for people, for the community on my Discord, basically I had to do that, and that's what cut out the whole entire stream when I was fixing it. So, I basically have scrolled back, so hopefully this is where I ended. I don't remember. But hopefully this is where I ended. So, anyway, without any further ado and without any further delay, let's get started. I went to bed that night, feeling nervous, despite the words of the incubi. I felt like a target to something I'd never be able to explain or prove. Magic, devils, demons. How did this all even happen? Should I really meddle with the situation? They are only staying until after they defeat Melik. That's right. They said they'd only stay until after they defeat Melik. After that, my life could go back to normal. Temporarily. Insanity, as Kay would say. The question was, then, would I want them to leave? In my life, if my life went back to normal, then I have to care for the house all on my own. I get to focus on my life instead of being distracted by the boys. I'd have to... My life. Where was my life going anyway? I was under pressure from my parents, with only my friends and the boys to comfort me. Without the boys, I have no way to hide from my responsibilities. Enough. Let's just sleep and deal with tomorrow when it comes. Don't ask me that. I can't choose between the boys. They're all my boys. What are you guys talking about? Defeating my sense of thoughts, I focused myself to sleep, unsure of what tomorrow had planned for me. Hopefully, whatever the future had for me, I would be ready for it.
I promise to be with you forever. You're so important to me.
I swear I'll give my life to you.
Please, let me love you.
I'll be by your side, always.
I can't imagine living without you.
I want to be with you.
I love you.
I slowly opened my eyes, letting the voices of my dream echo in my head and force me awake. I rubbed my eyes before sitting up and looking at my clock. 7 a.m. Why am I up so early? I fell back onto the bed and closed my eyes, trying to go back to sleep. However, something kept me awake. Why? It's too early to even be alive. My sleep. This fluff is not fluffy enough until she gets her fluffy beauty sleep. I gave up and sat up, staring at the fireplace across from my bed. A sigh escaped from between my lips before I threw my legs over the side of the bed. What to do at 7 a.m. in the morning? Let's make some coffee. I decided making coffee was the best bet in surviving the rest of the day. Why not? Haven't had a coffee in forever. I got out of bed and made my way to the kitchen, unconcerned that I was in pajama pants and a tank top. This would so be me. Except forget the pants. It'd just be a tank top. I rummaged through the cabinets for a coffee machine and any making for coffee. Surely my grandfather had some. A French press? Well, it's better than nothing. As I began to make my coffee, I checked my email and text on my phone. No new important emails, no text messages. I sighed. I quickly made my coffee just how I liked it and sat on the counter. But then I began to wonder, will this happen every day? I let the question linger in my mind. For a whole morning, I did not think once about the boys or Malik. Everything was peaceful. Everything was average. Nothing magical or dangerous or unusual. I simply drank my coffee as I let the thoughts marinate in the back of my mind. I returned to bed, feeling the weight of the morning drag me under my covers to try sleeping again. I just had coffee. This will keep me awake. Coffee will keep you awake for a moment of time, unless you really need a huge cup of coffee. Then you'll be off the walls. Then you'll need to paint you off with a stick. I had energy, but I wanted more sleep. It was Sunday, and nothing was happening today. Come on, eyes. Back to sleep. Still doesn't make sense to me. I had coffee. Coffee wakes you up in the morning. I shut my eyes and tried to slow my breathing. I looked at my phone to check the time once again. It was noon, yet it felt like I had slept for much longer. Why is time going so slowly? I sighed, got changed into normal clothes, and went out to the main hall and sat on the stairs. Sundays were very boring. However, the muffled sounds of battle caught my attention. Huh? I quickly went out to the backyard in response to the noise I had heard. In the yard were all 5 of the boys practicing fighting. Sam was in the middle with the other 4 surrounding him and throwing punches and kicks at him. Sam, being the strongest of the bunch, blocked and dodged each almost masterfully. Hey! All at once, the boys looked at me, frozen in their movements. I just stood at the doorway, staring at them after my outburst. James was the first to break away from the group, stepping towards me.
Good morning. We apologize if we woke you up.
No, it's fine. I've been awake for a while now. I'm sorry I interrupted.
It's quite all right. We needed to stop anyway. We don't want to overwork Sam.
Oh, come on, I can handle more than those pity punches.
Your mind seems grateful that we've stopped.
Shut up, Damien.
Oh crap, we should probably make some lunch. I'm sure you're starving.
I can handle lunch for if you like. You all seem very busy training to beat Malik. I'll take care of it today.
Whoa, seriously?
Yeah, why not? I'm not useless. I know how to cook and do other stuff too. Duh.
Well, no, I wasn't insinuating.
What he means to say is that we'd be really grateful if you could make lunch today.
No promises, or no problem. As I turned to the kitchen, the boys went back to training. They seemed very determined to get better and to become stronger. Might as well make lunch today. It's been a while since I cooked. Lunch wasn't particularly hard. I decided to make... What do you guys want to make? Do you want to make cold cut sandwiches? Pizza? Simple chicken and rice? Alright, chicken and rice. Simple chicken and rice. Gotta keep the energy and strength up with the protein. Gotta keep their energy and strength up with the protein. I took my time to make almost perfect chicken breasts alongside some rice. Cooking wasn't hard unless you didn't know what you were doing in the first place. Sorry guys, Alexandra beat you to the pizza. I placed the food in the dining room. However, none of the boys were there by the time I brought the final dish out. I carried that dish to the main lobby, catching the boys separating into different rooms of the house. Part of me wanted to go to one in particular. The other part of me wanted to just leave them be and take the food in my hand to my room and eat. Maybe I could go out today while the boys focused on training. Find one of the incubi. I quickly rushed back, grabbed a second food dish before hunting down one of the boys. I returned to the backyard, hoping to find an incubus still there. Luckily, my gut feeling was right. Erik was beside the gazebo looking at a small flower that was growing on the railing of it. As I approached, Erik turned his head and smiled his usual smile.
Hello, princess.
Hey, Erik. I got some lunch for you.
Really? You did not have to do that, princess.
No, it's fine. Here. Erik smiled and took his food, eating a little bit before looking to the flowers again. Out of curiosity, I looked as well. It was a simple white daisy in full bloom. Erik shook his head and chuckled softly as I joined him in flower gazing.
Sorry, I was simply reminded of home.
Huh? Oh no, you're fine. What about home were you reminded of? Erik looked to the sky with a soft sigh and smiled before looking to the flower again.
The castle, mainly. Despite us not being there anymore, it was still our home. We grew up there our entire lives as brothers. There wasn't a day that went by when we weren't all doing something exciting. It was an empty excitement, of course, but it was still something that bonded us all together.
Erik slightly trailed off, looking lost in the nostalgical of his thoughts. I didn't know if I wanted to bother him while he remembered something so obviously important to him. Please tell me more. Erik turned again to me with a slightly surprised look.
You wish to know more?
Why not? I'm really curious about the place you lived in. Erik nodded before looking to the flower again. After a second, he gained a look of realization before looking to me again.
Would you like me to show you something instead?
I tilted my head in confusion, but nodded nonetheless. Was I expecting? What I was expecting could not have prepared me for what I saw. Erik gently brushed his fingers against the petals of the daisy, making it gently quake at his touch. As the daisy abnormally shivered, its petals shifted from white to purple. Oh my. The yellow center gently faded to a pink hue, and the stem began to burn black. I could only stare at as Erik plucked the flower from its place and presented it to me.
Watch closely.
I kept my eyes to the flower as Erik began to mutter something. It sounded close to Latin, but I wasn't sure. Regardless, the flower began to glow in Erik's hand. Small crystal-like spores floated up from the pink center and began to form a circle in the air. As the circle closed, the center filled with smoke, forming a screen of some sort. It was misty, so I couldn't see anything. What is this?
Just watch.
I raised an eyebrow, but I followed his instructions. Eventually, the mist faded away, revealing a large throne room. It was all of stone and tile, with the throne itself covered in red fabric and gold metal. Despite it being a mirror image in a magic mirror, I felt small looking at the sight of the throne room. Wow. That looks amazing.
That's our castle. It's a wonderful place. Servants and parties galore.
Does your father sit on the throne when he's at the parties?
Very much.
Oh?
Very much so. He despises dancing and socializing, so he makes the throne his home.
Do you think he's still there now? I must have struck a small chord with Erik, because he hesitated before responding. Erik smiled only slightly.
We don't know. When we left, we didn't look back. However, we are sure he's still there, since no one followed us out of the abyssal plains.
I bit my lip. Maybe I shouldn't have asked. I felt really bad. However, I didn't feel it for long. The magic suddenly stopped and faded away, while Erik dropped the daisy. As the daisy turned back to the white and yellow color, Erik dropped to a knee, groaning in pain. Erik? Are you alright?
Yes, Princess. I'm fine. I just used too much energy, that's all.
I dropped to a knee to try and examine Erik closer. His face was pale while his purplish eyes shifted back and forth between purple and gold. His breath was heavy, which concerned me. He used too much energy. That means he needed more.
Please don't worry, Princess. I'm fine. Don't worry your beautiful head about it.
Oh, here we go. And we do this. I felt responsible. I had to help. I quickly grabbed Eric's face and tilted his head to angle with mine. Shifting myself closer, I brought my lips to his and kissed him deeply. I didn't know if this would help, but it was how he got energy. Before I shut my eyes, waiting for the draining feeling to appear in my body. However, Erik grabbed my shoulders and forced me back. I opened my eyes and stared into his frightened golden eyes in surprise. At the same time, I noticed a pink hue run across Eric's face. More or less, it was more or less like in the beginning. He kissed me, so now it's my turn to do the lovely favor and just yum here, boy.
Princess? What are you doing?
I don't know why, but I felt both irritated and accomplished at the question and at the look he was giving me. Where was his flirting? Where was his cocky smirk? From what I remembered, he took advantage of me when we met, yet now he was somehow acting inferior to me. I grabbed his hands and removed them from my shoulders, tangling my fingers with his. I'm trying to help and give you some of my energy. You used your energy to show me that sight. So I want to pay you back for that. Unless you don't want me to help.
Well, I've already taken your energy once before.
That was before. I want to give you energy now. Just let me. All of a sudden, I felt the familiar feeling of warmth run through my body once again. I felt my body slightly heat up as Erik quickly released my hand and wrapped it around my waist, dropping to both knees in front of me. He stared at me with desire in his gaze. As he pulled my body to his, Erik leaned his forehead to mine, letting the tips of our noses gently caress each other as he spoke.
You spoil me.
I have not seen this picture before. I have not. I have just unlocked a new picture. Before I knew it, I was on top of Erik. As he laid on the grass below, I stared wide-eyed as he pulled me into a hot and passionate kiss. With a gentle hand on the back of my head, Erik's other hand rested on the small of my back, while I rested my hands on his chest. I moved myself to straddle his hips to be more comfortable in his kiss. The energy from my body was slowly draining, making me feel light and warm. It was almost pitiful how comfortable and how willing I was in this situation. Still, I had no regrets. I was enjoying every bit of this kiss. While Erik held me, he gently rolled us both over, so he was on top of me, kissing me hotly and holding me tightly. I was tempted to wrap my legs around him, but I remained focused on the kiss. It was better that I was on the bottom anyway. With my energy slowly fading from my body, however, the draining feeling suddenly stopped as Erik pulled away and looked down at me. I stared up at him as we both panted for air. I had never kissed like that before, and I was so lost in the moment that I had forgotten how to breathe. Erik, however, didn't move from me, but moved a strand of hair from my face, eyes still full of desire.
I'm completely full, and yet I still desire you.
I could feel the hold of his mind-altering spell fade away, but I still felt hot. Something told me that I wanted more, but at the same time, I wasn't sure if I truly did want to give any more. Yeah, we're gonna keep going. I know you guys. I opened the opportunity and I was enjoying it as much as he was. I wanted more and I was going to let him keep going. I wanted to keep going. I reached up, pulled him down and kissed him, giving him a silent approval to keep going. I could feel him pull on the tail of my bowl, releasing it and following his hands off from around my neck. He moved the ribbon to the ground beside me before gently unbuttoning the top buttons of my blouse, of my blouse, stopping at the button above my stomach. The desire in my body drove me insane, forcing a moan to escape my lips as he ran kisses from my lips to my exposed neck. As he began to ravish my neck and shoulder in hot kisses, I leaned my head back against the grass and let a pleasurable sigh escape my lip. Erik was ruthless in his passionate kiss on my skin. Erik didn't stop touching and kissing me, making me more moan and gasp rush out of my mouth into the open air. He was full, but he was as hot as I was. I couldn't even comprehend how much we spent making out. I was so lost in the pleasure that I didn't care. Call it sinful, but I didn't care. I loved it. His touch, his kisses, his heat. I desired it beyond anything at that moment, even as he lowered his kisses down my chest to just above my bra. My heart was beating wildly in my chest. Something about Erik intrigued me immensely, but something made my heart quicken for him. It couldn't have been love, but it was too passionate to be lust. What was it? However, I began to feel dizzy, feeling the sky start to spin almost wildly. I gripped onto Erik's shoulder, trying to signal him to stop, but my mind faded to black before I could let out another sound. I felt good. I didn't care that I was blacked out. I felt warm and fuzzy in the darkness. I never knew indulging in that kind of passion would be that good. I now just waited to awaken, hopefully in a good way. My eyes eventually fluttered open, and adjusting to the sight around me, I felt familiar silk underneath me, letting me know that I was in my bed. I slowly sat up, stretching from the tiredness that still lingered. I felt a very soft pain on my neck and shoulder, and I could feel my swollen lips pulse gently and healing. Oh, Erik was so giving off to the fluff. However, when I looked down at my body, I saw that my shirt had been pulled back up and rebuttoned, as if nothing happened between me and Erik. I was just missing my ribbon. Before I turned to get out of bed, though, I spotted my ribbon on the pillow, beside on the one I slept on. It was tied in a nice bow around the daisy Erik had picked, with a small note attached to it. I gently slipped the note from the tie and opened it to read it.
You've spoiled me, my princess. I am eternally grateful that you let me indulge like that. Have a good rest.
I was waiting for, have a great day. I stared the note, letting a small grace my lips. Spoiled him. I enjoyed it, despite the first time circumstances. It was cute, though, to imagine him thanking me for something we both did and enjoyed. I brought the daisy to my nose and gently inhaled the soft fragrance, letting the memories of our meeting flood my mind. I indulged myself too, Erik. I looked to the time out of curiosity. The large white numbers on my phone showed 5:31 p.m. Yikes! 4 hours of being knocked out, and I still feel tired! It was Sunday, so I was allowed to sleep longer if I wanted to. The remainder of the night passed by surprisingly uneventful. The boys continued to train with each other, but were kind enough to stop and make me dinner. I was glad for that. Unsurprisingly, the food was perfect, but it felt a little empty without the boys to eat with me. They most likely had already eaten, but still I felt lonely. I couldn't let it bother me. I ate and went back to my room to study and sleep. Surprisingly, I felt good going to bed that night. I felt like I could have a peaceful sleep after the previous rough nights I had. I felt good. I drifted to sleep and woke up almost flawlessly the next morning. No grogginess, no aches, perfectly energized and bright-eyed. Man, how long has it been since I got that much good sleep? I looked at my alarm clock. I woke up 10 minutes before my alarm. Well, hey, I must be lucky today. Karma owed me some luck after all. I had gone through in merely a handful of days. I deserve to get some good luck. This fluffy butt of vampire. The only thing that fluffy butt goes after is kisses. Ecstatically for the day ahead, I turned off my alarm before they could ring and got dressed. However, my phone started to quickly buzz from an incoming text. Huh? Who's texting me this early?
Yo, Anderson! You're carpooling with us from now on. We're not letting you waste your money on a bus. Get ready and be at your gate at 7 stat.
I smiled. My friends were the best. I couldn't drive yet and I didn't have a car. So it was awesome that my friends could let me carpool. I checked the time, 6:30. Perfect. I can eat some breakfast before they come. I packed my bag and carried it downstairs towards the kitchen. As I entered the dining room, I saw a plate with eggs, toast, and bacon sitting on the table. A fresh steaming cup of coffee sat next to the plate, with the sugar and creamer on the side. I walked to the table and couldn't believe what I was seeing. Who made this? As I spoke aloud, a small red note caught my attention. Have a good day, yours. My heart skipped a beat and finished. As I finished, I could tell it was from one of the boys. Maybe it was from him. I smiled before putting the note in my bag and eating up. The food was so delicious, I devoured every amazing bite. I looked at the time again. Time to go. I quickly rushed to the doors, checking myself in the passing mirror. I wasn't waiting to impress anyone, but I still needed to look decent. Before I could reach the handle of the door, however, someone took my hand. Huh? I turned to see Erik, who was holding my hand. With a concerned frown on his face.
My name.
Your name?
My true name isn't Erik, miss. I want you to know my real name, if something were to happen.
His true name. What did he mean? Why was he telling me this now? Erik gently pulled me to him and leaned close to whisper in my ear.
My name is Uzeris.
Uzeris. As he said his name, I could feel it lock into my memory. Something my head would make sure I would never forget it. Erik pulled away and smiled at me, despite still carrying worry in his eyes.
If you are in any danger, call my name. I promise that I'll come and help you.
I stared up at Erik, unable to say anything. I could only nod in response. Erik smiled before kissing my hand and heading into the dining room. Something told me that name would be used eventually. And right on cue, Naomi drove up to the gate, with Suzu waving me down. I rushed out of the door and we headed to school, talking about homework and the coming day. Crystal Moon, I think you're on a rampage against Nightbot. We made it into the school without a hitch. Our lockers were in the same part of the hall, so we quickly unloaded what we needed and got our important books and necessities. First incident of the day. As I walked towards Suzu and Naomi, who were both waiting for me on the opposite side of the hall, something hooked my ankle and made me fall forward. Whoa!
Hey, are you okay? Who did that?
The three of us looked back to see Lisette and her gaggle of girls. Lisette had a look of complete innocence, while the girls around her giggled like snow tomorrow.
Why, you little... Suzu, don't!
I felt a giant fire of anger burn in my stomach as I stared at Lisette. Today was not the only time this had happened to me. However, it was now clear who was behind these incidents. Even if she was innocent and one of her goons did it, it was now obvious that Lisette was the mastermind, just from the look on her face. She was no friend, nor would she ever be. I had to do something. We're gonna stand up and walk away. No. I wasn't going to bring myself to her level. She was a bully, but I was not going to let her get to me. I had to be stronger than her, and only then would I have beaten her. I stood up and brushed myself off, pretending nothing had happened.
Anderson, you okay? That was a pretty bad fall.
Yeah, I'm fine. A fall like that is nothing. I merely smiled at them, not wanting to let them know the pain rushing through my body from the fall. My arms were quaking, my shoulders were pulsing, but I remained content to face. I quickly gathered up my belongings and nodded to my two friends. Come on, we'll be late for history. Suzu and Naomi looked at each other before frowning and nodding to me. Naomi and Suzu flanked me as we began to walk to the class away from the gaggle of bullies. As we walked, I could barely see Suzu flipping the middle finger to the group behind us from the corner of my eye.
Friggin' bunch of Lisette feet lickers. That's gross, Suzu. It's true. It's all OMG! Lisette is the best! Let's follow her around because we obviously don't have lives.
Naomi and I could not help but laugh. The group behind us, however, did not like Suzu's words.
At least my dad doesn't screw around in the black market to keep a stupid casino running.
Suzu stopped Naomi, and I stopped as well, to look back at Suzu, who was completely red in anger. Suzu slowly turned to head to the group, glaring daggers at them.
Fuck did you just say?
Woo! I had to act fast. I placed my hand on Suzu's shoulder and gripped tightly, knowing she could try to push my hand away. Suzu, they're not worth it. Let's just go.
No, I think it's about time we taught them some manners. Suzu.
I looked at Lisette and her group. Lisette had a wildly amused smile on her face, which irked me to no end. Nevertheless, I knew that fighting wasn't going to get us anywhere. Let's go. I grabbed Suzu by the shoulder, roughly pulling her back to Naomi and me. Suzu tried to step towards the group, but Naomi held onto her other shoulder. We held onto Suzu, who fought against our hands as we marched to class. Surprisingly, the rest of the school day went off without another incident. I went to my class, had lunch, and was anxious to get home. As the bell rang for school to end, I felt my phone vibrate in my pocket. And before I continue, let's talk about that little scene. Yeah, if I think about it, if you think about it in an anime sense, all I could think about is Naomi and me just dragging her while she's kicking and screaming at them all the way to class. Huh? A text from Dad? I will pick you up today. Make sure you're ready to go when I get there. That's kind of a surprise. I quickly headed back to my locker and got my things before waiting for Naomi and Suzu.
Hey, are you ready to go?
Actually, my dad's picking me up.
Really? Okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. We'll drive home together next time. Tell your dad that we've got you covered from now on.
Yeah. Alright. Even while I left, something didn't seem right. My dad texted me to say this. Why was he going to pick me up? Had I done something wrong? I didn't know. I waved goodbye to Naomi and Suzu before heading off to the usual spot, where my dad picks me up. I took the time to listen to my music while I waited. I needed to go to another Rise of the Phoenix concert. Eventually, I had played the entire album with no one showing up. What the hey? Dad's never late, especially not this late. I quickly dialed my dad's number again, but as soon as I pressed call, it disconnected and read a single disconnection error message. What the? No signal error? How do I not have the signal? I double-checked my phone and saw all 5 bars for signal. He must be in a dead zone. Before I could finish, a group of hands grabbed at my hands, feet, and covered my mouth. I screamed into the hand over my mouth, struggling to pull away from the hands grabbing at my limbs. It felt disgusting and scary, feeling their hands on me. I needed it to stop.
Hey! Don't dirty up Melix's prey.
The voice, which sent a fearful shiver down my spine, whispered into my ear.
You're coming with me, Miss Anderson.
I couldn't fathom what was happening, but before I knew it, I was blindfolded and my limbs were quickly tied up. I felt myself being carried somewhere and was shoved into something that echoed the interior of a bus or a van. The doors closed and off I was taken, unsure of where I was going and why. All I knew was that I was in trouble. All I saw was darkness. I felt numb, and I was taken to a place I didn't know of. And this fluffy butt is not going to be very fluffy. It's going to be nice and spiky if this person doesn't get off of me soon. I couldn't even move my lips to scream. Sounds zipped past my ears, first of the interior of a car, then the outside, then an echoey space with whispers and cackles of people vibrating through it. However, the wrapper around my eyes eventually removed from my face and my bonds were cut. It took a while for my eyes to adjust, but I found myself in a warehouse surrounded by devils, including Malik, who was smirking at me.
Nicely done! I'm sure those little shits will come running to find you when they realize you didn't return to your precious little mansion. They'll search everywhere for you.
Malik walked over and set the barrel of his gun against the skin between my eyes.
It'll be so funny when they find your dead body instead.
Seduce. I kind of just curled my tongue. Seduce. All of a sudden, a bright purple light engulfed the room, causing the devils around me to cover themselves.
What the?
Gust of wind rushed past me, almost forcing me back. I covered my face with my arm, bracing myself and standing my ground. I tried to peek through my arms to see what was going on, but the light continued to shine brightly. As the gust slowly started to die, the light began to fade, revealing Erik. Erik?
Did you miss me?
However, the seductive smile that graced his lips quickly disappeared as he turned to me. As Malik lowered his arms, Erik glared.
You really are evil at its core. Kidnapping an innocent woman like you did. It's disgusting how we demons are confused for your kind.
Look at this little manhole Erik right here, boys. Might as well sleep with a disease.
The devil around them laughed, including Eris. I felt a twinge of anger, but Erik must have taken it from me and added it to his own. Erik flickered his wrists and arms across his body, producing a small whip noise through the air. However, Malik hissed and reduced. However, Malik hissed and reached for his cheek, as if the air had slapped him hard. That's right, bitch. What the? When Malik removed his hand from his cheek, I stared wide-eyed at the large slash that was revealed on it. A mixture of red and black blood gently dripped from the wound, causing Malik to growl angrily at Erik.
So, pretty boy thinks he has balls, huh? Well, time to make this pretty boy a dead bitch.
I have to say, I have to know, when Malik said that line, or the voice of Malik said that line, I'm just wondering if he cracked up laughing at one point. Because if he did, I would find that amazing. That's the way he said that. That is so funny. All of a sudden, Malik lifted his gun towards Erik and pulled the trigger. I gasped and tensed up, not believing what I was seeing. As I braced myself over Malik, bullets embedded itself into Erik. However, a large ethereal tendril shot up in front of Erik's body, sprouting from the ground by his feet. Quickly, after the bullet evaporated into the tendrils, several others appeared, forming a dark purple crown around Erik's body.
What is that?
Did you expect me to come unprepared the second time around? Thanks to my lovely princess, I can now use the full extent of my powers. Unfortunately for you, That means I'm afraid you will lose this fight.
You cocky little shit!
Melik charged up his energy and began to fire bullets after bullets at Erik in anger. However, the tendrils danced across Erik's body with ease, blocking each one as if they were mere pebbles to a wall. The remaining devils stared, trying to figure out what to do, help Melik or watch in silence. Eris, however, walked up beside me and crossed her arms as she watched with an amused smirk on her face.
Die already!
Erik chuckled before snapping his fingers, causing a row of tendrils to appear behind him, pointing their sharp ends at Melik, who continued to fire bullets at the incubus. The tendrils uprooted themselves and floated into the air, straightening out to large spikes before quickly splintering into multiple thinner spikes. I could only stare, completely lost and intrigued at the sight as Erik whipped his hand across his body again. At Erik's command, the spikes flew at Melik, slashing and stabbing into his body. They were thin, barely making pencil-sized wounds, and only a few went into his body. The others scraped and scratched at his skin as they flew by. This didn't kill Melik. However, Melik growled loudly before charging at Erik, causing the incubus to step back in slight shock. Melik pointed his gun at Erik, closing the distance between them, and fired as the barrel almost reached Erik's face. Instead of the bullet ripping into Erik, a large explosion forced both away from each other. Melik bounced off the wall and landed on his knees, groaning in pain. Erik, however, slid across the ground, landing on his stomach. Erik! Melik slowly planted a foot into the ground to stand, but froze before doing so. Staring at Erik's body, Erik, on the other hand, slowly rose and turned to face Melik head-on. Erik reached a hand up and whipped off a small strand of blood that had painted the side of his lips, before growling almost animalistic-like. At that moment, something in the air changed. The air instantly went from frantic to still in energy. What could have been described in tone as the color red quickly turned into a deadly mix of purple and red, and as everything began to blend together all at once.
How persistent. I guess I'll have to go all out on you to finally rid the world of you.
I need a drink, guys. Was this the extent of demon power? My eyes never strayed from Erik's face. However, even as if changed, his eyes began to glow a bright golden color as Erik began to walk towards Melik.
Let's end this.
Melik aimed his gun and fired at Erik, but the bullet never made its target. As the shot erupted from the barrel, the ethereal tendrils erupted from Erik's back, creating a wing-like barrier from the bullets. Melik stared wide-eyed as Erik's tendrils absorbed the bullet and grew almost larger in size and in number with each step Erik took. Erik's skin slowly began to morph and shift, changing from human to something else entirely. Something about Erik grew dark and menacing, and the transformation was making him even darker. Before I was allowed to see Erik's new form, however, a pair of hands quickly covered my eyes. Instinctively, I reached up and gripped them, trying to pull them off. A voice stopped me. I'm going to pause right there. I don't sprayed a rare red anywhere in any of them where she gets untied. I feel like she's still bound, and yet I'm reaching up to grab these hands.
It's me. Don't look.
I listened carefully and let the last two words linger in my mind. Don't look. Why? What was being hidden from me? I wanted to know, but something told me to obey Damien's command. I could hear everything, however. I listened as Melik stood up with a pained grunt before behinging pushed against the wall with another shot. Ah! Rewind. Fun play. I could hear everything, however. I listened as Melik stood up with a pained grunt before behinging pushed against the wall with another shout. After that came sounds of flesh ripping the blood, spurting, followed quickly by Melik screaming. Maybe it was better that I wasn't able to see.
Erik, enough!
Almost instantly after James' command, the sound stopped. The air grew silent as a pair of footsteps slowly made their way to where we were.
I just had to be sure he was dead. No use in letting him have a chance to revive.
You're getting sloppy, Erik. You've lost your glamour spell.
Glamour spell? What did he mean? Why did Erik sound so different? Why was this being hidden from me?
It's a spell that makes us look human.
I froze. Look human? They didn't look like humans after all? What did they look like?
Like demons.
As if Matthew knew what Damien was talking about, Matthew spoke up, followed by the sound of a cork popping out of a bottle.
Well, not for much longer. Here.
There we are. Thank you, Matthew.
I could hear the small clinking of glass being passed before hearing Erik guzzle down a liquid of some sort. The feel of the air around me gently began to warm back up, insinuating that everything had been returned to normal. Finally, Damien moved his hand from my eyes, allowing me to see around me. Once again, the devils, including Eris, had fled. On top of what I assumed to be Melik's body was dirty sheet that was quickly turning red from blood. I couldn't tell if it was even his body. It seemed lumped together like a pile of parts. The boys, however, had gathered around me, all of them, including Erik, looking like nothing had happened. What just... I tried to speak, but everything zipped around in my head at the whole event, and I felt like speaking wasn't possible.
Let's just get you home, miss. There's nothing more to see here.
I could only nod. What had happened boggled my mind to the point of disbelief. I was second-guessing everything, lost in the sea of what and how and when. As we walked out of the warehouse, I looked to Erik for some form of sign that I wasn't dreaming. Erik smiled softly at me before looking ahead, trying to look like nothing had happened. It was over. Melik was gone, and the boys were finally safe. A wave of relief ran through my body at the thought of never having to deal with the group again. At the same time, a ping of realization hit the back of my mind. The boys were only going to stay until Melik was defeated. That was our deal. As we approached home, I could feel something heavy weigh down my heart. It was late. The boys led me inside and turned on the lights in the lobby.
Finally, we can relax.
It will be good to have some rest without devils breathing down our necks.
Ugh, I'm just tired. Can I hit the hay early?
I think some sleep would be good for all of us.
Remember, guys, if you do enjoy this live stream, remember to hit that like button. Much appreciated. I looked to Damien, knowing he could read my mind, and frowned. I didn't want him to know about my thoughts on the situation. Yeah, that sounds good. I wanted to just end tonight. Too much had happened, and I felt dizzy trying to figure it out. However, Damien spoke up, stopping all of us from moving.
Should we be gone in the morning?
The air became still with tension. The realization of the situation hit the boys like a wave, forcing them to turn to me in curiosity. They had remembered their deal, and were now awaiting me to decide their fate. I gulped, face to face with the realization of the situation. The boys were leaving it up to me. They looked like they were willing to accept whatever I had to demand. It was only fair enough after all that had happened. It was only fair, though, after all that happened. I looked to Erik, feeling my heart flutter in my chest. I didn't want him to leave, but would he ask to stay? I hoped that he would say no more and ask me to stay longer. I hoped that he would say no and ask to stay longer. As if he knew what I wanted, Erik moved and stepped to me, gently moving a strand of hair from my face to behind my ear. He stared into my eyes and spoke gently, stroking my cheeks.
Princess, you've been such a wonderful help to us already. But I'm afraid that I must ask more of you. I've grown fond of being here and of serving you. Would you allow us to stay?
My heart skipped while a large red blush ran across my cheeks. The boy stared at Erik wide-eyed, but didn't dare to speak out. Erik stepped back to give me space, returning to where he was. I moved my gaze across each boy, trying to make a decision. If they left in the morning, I would never see them again, and my life could return to normal. If I did decide to let them go, that would have been for the best. No goodbyes, no delays. But did I want to? They had done so much for me, in such a small amount of time. I wanted them to stay. I wanted him to stay. I merely smiled, staring at the man I had come to have feelings for, before speaking at last. I would love it if you all could stay. The boys cheered, tiredly, but nonetheless enthusiastically. I giggled at the sight. It was cute to see everyone so excited, despite the tiredness that ran equally through our bodies. Today was a rough day. My home is your home, as long as you can still help with the chores. The boys nodded in unison, agreeing to the terms I had set for them. Despite the good situation, I felt myself slowly slipping into unconsciousness. However, James quickly clapped his hands together, getting everyone's attention and waking me up, making sure I didn't pass out on the floor.
All right, everyone. We're all very tired, so let's head to bed, shall we?
Oh, yeah, sleep is actually a thing. Right.
We've had a very long day, but it will be good to just relax tonight and tomorrow.
Sleep sounds really good right now.
Yeah, man.
I watched a very happy smile grow onto Erik's lips. He shared my excitement, knowing that we would be together longer. Who knew how long we would stay together? All I cared about was that I would be with him. The others quickly left to finally rest, leaving me and Erik alone at last. My heart fluttered a bit as Erik walked closer to me, gently wrapping his arms around my waist. I placed my hands onto his shoulders, leaning close.
Yet again, you spoil me. I'm very unworthy of you, princess.
Hush, Erik. I wanted you to stay. I stared up into his eyes, getting lost in them. I didn't know if it was the tiredness or my growing attachment to him, but I felt myself lean into Erik's body. It invited me to stay a while, making me forget that my bed was also calling for me.
Listen, about what happened at the warehouse.
No, it's fine. You did what you had to do. I understand. I had accepted everything while in Erik's warmth. He was someone I didn't want to be without, even if that meant nodding against my curiosity. Besides, I was too tired to explore that memory further. Erik nodded before kissing my forehead sweetly.
Come, let's get you to bed.
I nodded before Erik gently lifted me up into his arms like a bride and carried me to my room. I didn't want to leave his arms, leaning my head against Erik's chest, but eventually I was slowly lowered to my bed and covered with my bed covers. I was still in my school clothes, but I was too tired to strip or care. I looked at Erik, fighting a yawn from escaping me as he gently ran a hand over my hair.
Have a good night, princess. I'll prepare breakfast for you in the morning.
I nodded with a tired smile before watching him slowly stand and leave my room, closing the door. A wave of happiness washed over me as I laid in bed. I made a good choice. Sure, it would be hard, but I could tell that I would be able to manage it. Help around the house and being with the man who I was slowly starting to fall for would be worth it. I slowly felt my exhaustion take over. I let sleep consume me as I drifted into the darkness in my mind. Everything was peaceful. I was happy. Woo! And just to let you guys know, I will be ending the stream right about here. And we will